just before we start, I would like to tell you the house rules of today's webinar. Please be informed that one of the reasons why this webinar is possible is because we've been receiving a lot of questions and interest. That's why this webinar has been planned to be able to answer questions and present what New Zealand is currently offering, especially in the healthcare sector. And so while you are in this webinar, you are free to type in your question in the Q&A box. So you will be able to see a Q&A box down there in your screen. So any questions that pops up to your mind while you're listening in today's webinar, you can type in there. And later on in the Q&A portion, we will answer them one by one. Okay, our speaker, Vandana Rai, will answer them one by one later on. All right, welcome. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining in today's webinar. So before we start, let me introduce myself. So we have two moderators in today's webinar, and that's me. I'm Leah Howe. I come from the Philippines, and I'm the legal assistant of Immigration Advisors New Zealand. And another moderator that is joining us is, of course, Kesang Lama, our marketing manager for the Nepal market. So she will later on join us and also greet our Nepalese attendees. Okay. All right. So in today's webinar, our scope, of course, let me read them to you one by one. So first is, why choose the healthcare sector? We will be discussing about that. Also, the healthcare courses available here in New Zealand, the student eligibility criteria, also career pathways and the residence option when it comes to taking the healthcare sector courses or healthcare pathway. So this will be the scope of today's webinar, and one by one, they will be elaborated and discussed by our speaker. Okay. Also, before we start this webinar, let me introduce to you our speaker for today. In today's session, we will be joined by our Senior Licensed Immigration Advisor, Vandana Rai. She herself is a migrant and has a rare skill set which could be considered ideal for a licensed immigration advisor. She was also a school counselor from 1996 to 2006, a role in which she was a natural fit due to her nurturing and caring personality. Her earnest journey as a fully licensed immigration advisor began in 2014, and she considers herself blessed to have the background and skills that allow her as an immigration advisor to effortlessly visualize herself in her client situations. She understands their needs and problems and use her knowledge and experience to help find a solution for it. She is also currently on the board of New Zealand Association of Migration and Investment and was part of the Immigrations Authority Referral Group for 2016. It is my pleasure to introduce to you all Immigration Advisors New Zealand Limited Director and Senior Licensed Immigration Advisor, Vandana Rai. Hi, Vandana. Kindly say hi to our viewers for today.
Thank you, Leah. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. And we will try and provide you as much insight as we can in the healthcare industry, the study options, and the pathway moving forward. So welcome to this webinar.
Thank you, Vandana. And before I give the floor to our speaker, Vandana, let me just give you a brief background of our company, Immigration Advisors New Zealand Limited. So why choose us? Of course, number one, we are a multinational organization that of course speaks Nepalese because we have Kesang here with us and Deepika as well. So we can speak with you, they can speak with you in your native language, which we know for sure will be more comfortable for you when speaking with us. Second point is that we provide a streamlined, contactless, and top-notch service. Third point is we are updated, innovative, and proactive. updated in a way that because we are here, we have an office here in New Zealand, so we have the most updated news and information from immigration because we are here onshore. And number four is that our initial consultation is free. So it's definitely a big help to have that first initial consultation without, um, giving out payment at first, because of course, for sure, you have a lot of questions, and I know it's a good thing that we get initial consultations for free. So without further ado, I would also like to share to you a slide of our Nepalese clients who have got their visas through us, Immigration Advisors New Zealand. So I will just quickly share a slide of our Nepalese clients just for you to see. All right, that's all from my end. I will now be turning over the floor to our speaker, Vandana. Vandana, over to you now. Thank you.
Thank you, Leah. So, to give you a brief on why you should choose a healthcare sector in New Zealand and what are the benefits and what are the options available. So, a lot of queries that we have received, a lot of attendees that we have today are doctors, nurses, physiotherapists, physicians, surgeons, and other people who are working in the healthcare industry, and you are looking for options moving forward. And we also have a lot of students either studying in the same line or considering a change of stream in the healthcare industry. So I would recommend that each one of you do contact us with your previous academics and your work experience, because everyone would need a different pathway. So based on your qualification, based on your work experience, if you are a doctor, whether you are a nurse, whatever pathway would be best suitable for you, we could then give you the options available and for you to decide whether it is a study pathway, whether you can secure a job, whether you can have a critical purpose visa, whatever it would be, we would be able to then advise you. So I'm not giving a generic option or a generic pathway here, because it would really depend on your previous qualification and the skill set that you now have for us to decide what the best option could be for you. Next, please, Leah. We'll be discussing few of the courses in this webinar here, and just to give you an idea of the options that are available. So the first program that I would like to provide information on is the New Zealand Diploma in Enrolled Nursing. So if you're thinking of becoming an enrolled nurse, if you are a class 12 pass out, if you've completed your secondary schooling and you are planning to become a nurse here in New Zealand, this is one of the programs which offers the fastest pathway. So if you are a year 12 graduate, if you've recently completed your schooling, the registered nurse program, a bachelor's would take 3 years, whereas a diploma in enrolled nurse could probably finish in 1.5 to 2 years. So you could definitely consider this as one of the options if you are planning to become a nurse. So this will make you become an enrolled nurse. One important thing is for those who may have done their year 12 in science subject and subsequently moved on to a different field. Suppose so a lot of you complete your schooling in sciences, then move on to do maybe a bachelor's of science, maybe a bachelor's of commerce, and down the line later realize that you should have moved to the nursing pathway, because that is something which you realize now is of more interest to you. So for all those who are thinking of a career change, want to change their stream, again, this is one of the options that you can consider, which will take you to the pathway of a nursing career here in New Zealand. So do get in touch with us if this is something that interests you. Another program that I would like to uh, give more information on is a diploma in computing, healthcare, and support. So again, a level 7 diploma leads to a career in healthcare industry. A lot of you would have done a PCL, a diploma in healthcare, nursing. So if you've done a PCL and if you're thinking of a career in healthcare, this is one of the course that you can consider. So at least 2 years of post-secondary qualification or more is what would be required. So your post-secondary qualification somewhere assessed at level 6. So if you've completed 2 years post-secondary qualification, you can consider this as one of the options as well. Just to give you an idea, and I'll touch more on this as we move forward. New Zealand has a pay equity understanding with the healthcare industry. There are certain healthcare programs, if those are completed by a job aspirant or a employee, then they have to be offered the salary as per the pay equity. So level 7 community healthcare support, there are some level 4 programs moving upwards. So if a person has completed those qualifications, they would get at least $27 an hour. And this is what is the salary which is required for an employment to be considered as skilled, or this is one of the pathways which leads to probably further options towards residence as well. I will give more options on this as we move on. Next one, please, Leah. Again, Bachelor of Nursing. This is one of the programs which leads to a registered nursing qualification. So one becomes a registered nurse on doing a Bachelor of Nursing. So this definitely has a pathway to residence, a lot of options in healthcare. The jobs are highly paid, extreme shortage of nurses here in New Zealand. So if nursing is something that interests you, you should consider this program. So if you are a fresh graduate, you've done your schooling, secondary schooling recently, 3 years is what it would take for a Bachelor of Nursing to be completed for you to become a registered nurse in New Zealand. If you have already completed a nursing qualification, you are a GNM graduate, then you may be given a 1 year of cross credits and you would be able to complete the qualification in 2 years instead of 3. So 6.5 bands or equivalent is what the IELTS score is. So again, if you're not a registered nurse back home in your country, but you are considering a nursing career, this is what you can definitely choose from. Another program that I would like to give information is a very specialized program, a Bachelor of Health.
Just a second, ma'am. Can I interfere? Can I interfere
Yes.
for a second?
Yes,
because we have lots of Nepalese clients who have already done Bachelor of Nursing in Nepal. So will they get any cross credit for this program?
Yeah, thanks, Kesan. So, and thank you so much for asking that question. I'll probably be able to give more insight in there. So suppose you have already done a Bachelor of Nursing, and then you want to see whether this program is better for me or is there any other option also. So the other option I will discuss later, which is a CAP program, which is leading to a nursing registration, but that will require 7 bands in each module. You are a registered nurse and you've done a Bachelor of Nursing back home in Nepal, like Kesang said, and you cannot secure a 7 bands in each modules, definitely this program is one of the best options. And like Kesang questioned me, can they be given some cross credits? Yes, they could be given 1 year of cross credits at least. So instead of completing this program in 3 years, they would be able to complete this program in 2 years. So if you are a Bachelor of Nursing with overseas nursing qualification, again, please get in touch with us based on your qualification and based on your language proficiency. We would be able to advise you whether a Bachelor of Nursing level 7 is a program that would best suit you, or whether you could qualify for a CAP program also, which could also lead to nursing registration. Kesang, have I answered your question, or is there anything else that I should cover?
You have answered very well, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks. So the next program, a Bachelor of Health Science, Medical Imaging. This is a very specialized program which requires a little bit more of the entry requirements than others. But the benefit is that you could gain over 2,000 hours of clinical experience. You could also qualify for some study grant. It does lead to industry registration, but definitely it is one of these specialized programs. And if somebody is interested in this stream, do get in touch and we would be able to assess your eligibility for the same as well. Leah, if you could move on, please. Okay, so I'm moving on, and I'm kind of continuing with what question Kesang had asked previously about the Bachelor of Nursing graduate. So if somebody is already a nursing graduate, if somebody has a work experience as a registered nurse in their home country, then are there any other options other than doing a bachelor's program again? So I would say yes, there definitely is. A CAP is a competency assessment program, which is one of the options that nursing graduates with a registered nursing qualification and work experience in their home country could consider. So primarily, what the requirement is, you should have an IELTS 7 or a OET B grade average. That is the English language proficiency that is required for a CAP program. Must have a degree in nursing. So if you have a bachelor's in nursing, you must have an overseas nursing registration. And very important is at least 2 years of nursing work experience. Definitely clinical nursing work experience would work, but there have been instances where we have also managed to get a CAP seat when somebody has a nursing experience, but not primarily a clinical nursing experience. So if you are in one of those areas, please again do consider and contact us. Again, I'm kind of repeating what I had previously said. If you are a registered nurse, if you have a nursing qualification and work experience, either one of these pathways would best suit you. Definitely, first option would be given to check your eligibility for CAP. If you do not meet the eligibility for CAP based on your limited work experience or based on your limited English language proficiency, definitely we could provide you an alternate option, which was for a Bachelor of Nursing, which also leads to a nursing qualification, registered nursing qualification. One of the best things for doing a CAP program at this stage, when the borders are closed, all the other programs which I previously mentioned, somebody cannot apply for the student visa directly unless the school nominates them, or they can apply after October when the borders reopen. But for this particular program, for CAP program, the application, the border exemption request could be made even while the borders are closed. One could come to do a CAP program while the borders are closed. Families can travel together if the main applicant is coming for a CAP program. And one of the options which is really very beneficial is if these applicants are able to enter before 31st July, complete the program, they also have a pathway for applying for a resident visa, provided things are completed before 31st of July. So that's definitely one option which will give you if you are falling in this category, or if you have this option available. Leah, if you could move on to the next one, please. Few other healthcare courses that I would really like to give more information on. A New Zealand Diploma in Health and Wellbeing. It's a level 4 and 5 program. Diploma in Healthcare, Aging and Disability Services. Applied Practice. Diploma in Mental Health and Addiction, level 6. These are few of the programs that we've just listed. So we do have a lot more than these in New Zealand. I'm just giving you a few of these options. So I did mention about pay equity in one of my previous slides. So there is a pay equity understanding with the healthcare industry, and if the qualification is assessed at level 4 health and well-being, it's something at level 4, and all these programs are at level 4 or higher. That means any student who has completed these qualifications, and when they start working in the healthcare industry, they would receive at least $27 an hour for the work that they do. That is an understanding with the healthcare industry. So, and that is enough salary for a job to be considered skilled, and for other pathways to be given to those students. So, if you're really interested in this line, you have to consider a few things. Is it only a healthcare program that I am doing, or will my healthcare program make me eligible to be considered under the pay equity as well? Because there are few programs in the healthcare industry as well, which may be at a higher level, but may not be considered for pay equity. So few things that you may not know initially, but you will realize it when you don't get enough salary, and that it shouldn't happen that you realize it too late. So definitely we'll give you more information if you select one of these programs. Yeah. Kisang, have I answered? Do you have any other query that I have not handled particularly to these programs?
No, ma'am, we have covered.
Okay.
And we have other questions on the Q&A section as well.
Okay, sure. Thanks. So how does it happen? So when you contact us, how do we suggest you options, or what is the process that we follow? So we will check your eligibility criteria based on your education background, your English language requirement, and your work experience. So we will consider these and then provide you with few options that we think would meet all these requirements. And then it is for you to select the option that best fits your aptitude, that best fits your interest, or is a program that you think you would like your career to progress in. So we cannot decide the best course for you. Definitely we can give you options based on these requirements, and then it is for you to do your research and decide what is the area that you would really work on. So we work very closely with each individual student just to make sure that you have selected the right program, and you do not regret later that the choice was not done, or you did not you're not made aware of few other programs that you would have been interested in. So make sure that you provide us all this information in one go initially when you contact us, so we are able to provide you with the options that would that you could consider for your study here in New Zealand. Leah, if you could move on, please. So I focused on primarily studying and the courses and other options till now, but definitely New Zealand does offer options for residents as well. So pre-COVID, there was a pathway which was a skilled migrant category. With COVID, it has been suspended. It's likely to be reopened later this year. But till then, we also have an option of RV21, resident visa 21, and few of the clients, if they enter on a critical purpose visa, may be eligible for this category. We'll give you more information on that in subsequent slides, or individually if you are falling in one of those categories. Next one, please, Leah. Okay, so moving on to what I said, I'm talking about a plan B now. Maybe a plan B, or something you could even think of a plan A while you do your research on your study options. So this alternate plan, I'm kind of conveying to all those who are already in this healthcare industry. So who already have some work experience in the healthcare industry. You may be a nurse, registered nurse with ample experience, a physiotherapist, a doctor, few other areas. And then what you can consider is try finding a job as a critical health worker here in New Zealand. Definitely, you cannot get a job as a nurse unless you have a nursing registration here in New Zealand, but you can try finding a job as a caregiver, community support worker, and few other areas which are considered as a critical healthcare work in New Zealand. So how that would benefit you is, if you find a job and you get a job in that field, we would be able to support your application for a critical purpose visa, so that you can travel while the borders are closed, you can join your role while the borders are closed, you can include your family and the family can travel with you. And if you happen to enter New Zealand before 31st of July, you also would have the option of applying for a resident visa 21, provided other criteria are met while you enter on a critical purpose visa. So do consider that if you have ample experience in the healthcare industry, do contact us. We would also be sharing few links which you can kind of approach, or you can explore, or you can research on, to see if your skill set is what immigration or would consider as a critical health role in, or is a skill set that the New Zealand employers require, or the healthcare industry here requires. So uh, definitely there are extreme shortages of the healthcare workers, and that is the reason these are considered as critical workers and given entry while the borders are closed. A lot of you may not be aware that you can apply for these positions from overseas. A lot of you may not be aware that it is possible for you to get a job even while you are offshore, provided you have the skill sets that the employer requires. And if you get a job, definitely we are there to support you with your visa application. So for all of those who have the skill set, I would request you to contact us so we can probably give you more information on this option. Next one, please, Leah.
I think, Vandana, that's where our presentation ends. It is now the most awaited part of our viewers, which is the Q&A portion. So our viewers have written their questions in the Q&A box, and I will be reading them, asking them to you one by one. And Kesang also can ask other questions if I will be missing other questions, but I'll ask them to you first, and I will give you the time to answer. Okay, so let's start with our first question. So our viewers are asking, what are the pathways available for overseas qualified registered nurses who want to be a registered nurse in New Zealand?
So thanks, Leah. So the options that I can convey is definitely a CAP program. CAP program is a competency assessment program. So it's a program which assesses your overseas qualification and gives you a short course. It's a short program and it leads to nursing registration. So CAP is one of the options. This requires higher English language proficiency and some nursing registration plus work experience, as I conveyed. And if you're not meeting the CAP requirement, definitely a Bachelor of Nursing with cross credits is another option that you can probably explore.
Okay, thank you, Vandana. Actually, there was a second question related to that, which is, what other courses are leading to nursing registration in New Zealand, which I think you have also answered in that answer you've given a while ago. Okay, I'll proceed to another question. So our viewers are asking, what is the CAP course, and what is its requirements in order for them to apply or get into the CAP program?
Okay, just to give you a brief on the requirement from your side. The requirement from your side is a Bachelor of Nursing, a nursing qualification, a registered, and you being a registered nurse in your home country, you having at least 2 years of nursing experience, clinical nursing experience or nursing experience, something in nursing. That is a requirement from your end. Then how does it happen? So an application is made to the Nursing Council of New Zealand, a decision letter is received. Prior to that, English proficiency is a mandatory requirement, must have at least 7 bands in each module or a B grade average. So that's an English proficiency requirement. And That is how a CAP program eligibility is met. You enter while the borders are closed on a critical purpose visa to come and complete your CAP program. And if done prior to 31st July, have options of leading to residence as well.
Okay, thank you, Vandana. Another question related to CAP is our viewers are asking how long is the usual duration of a CAP program?
So usually the CAP programs end within 3 months to 4 months, but the visa granted is more than 6 months. So that gives certainty to the family. And once the CAP is completed, they get the nursing registration and they can apply for their further visa, which could be an essential skills work visa. And they would also meet till 31st July the residence option. So it's a short course, visa given for 6 months and longer, but also has an option wherein a work visa could be applied as soon as they get a nursing registration and they get a nursing job. For most of our previous clients, while they are doing the industry placement, which is part of the CAP program, they get absorbed. Most of these clients have a job offer even before they get the nursing registration, with the condition that this will be starting as after they get the nursing registration. So for those who kind of fear coming on a short-term visa, or they think, okay, what do I do next? There's nothing that they really need to be fearful of, because nursing is in extreme, jobs are in extreme shortage, and that is the reason the entry is given while the borders are closed. So I have not seen a nurse getting registration and not finding a job. In fact, they have more than one job to choose from.
Okay, thank you, Vandana. Another question related again actually to CAP. So our viewers are very much interested for the CAP program. So can the nurses or the student going for CAP course in New Zealand can apply with their partner and dependent?
Yes. So when they apply for a critical purpose visa to enroll for and study a CAP program, partners can apply and travel together. Dependent children can apply and travel together. So if the applicants are have a family, the family will be allowed to travel together as well. And
Okay.
to give a bit more information or a bit more certainty, while they are enrolling or they're studying a CAP program, partners and uh, kids can travel together, but they will have a visitor visa. But as soon as they finish their CAP program and they get a job offer and they apply for a work visa, partners will then also be eligible to apply for a partnership based work visa. And they will get a work visa for the same duration as these nurses would. And the partners will have open work conditions. That means the partners can work for any employer in any occupation. And these dependent children, if they are aged 5 and over, would be eligible to apply for a dependent child student visa, which will have a domestic fee paying status. That means they will be able to study here in New Zealand without any fees as a domestic student. So that is one option which really interests a lot of applicants.
Okay. Thank you, Vandana, for answering that question. So another question we have from our viewers is it only IELTS that is acceptable when it comes to studying healthcare programs in New Zealand, or is PTE also accepted?
So PT is also accepted, yes. So IELTS and PT both are accepted. Where I mentioned 7 bands in each, so there OET B grade average is what is required, and you can calculate accordingly based on the language requirement for IELTS. Especially for CAP, IELTS is accepted, PT is accepted, and OET is also accepted. So sorry, I said B grade average was for OET. So for CAP, OET is also one of the acceptable language tests.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Vandana. So okay, I'll continue to the next question. Question from our viewer is asking, can the dependent accompany the student who are going for a certificate or diploma level courses in healthcare?
Yes, current student visa policy um, would allow the applicants who are coming to study any program less than masters till level 8, their partners to accompany them on a partnership based visitor visa. So, if the applicant plans to study a level 4 program, level 5 program, 6, 7, level 8 program, in all these programs, partners can accompany. They will get a partnership based visitor visa. For all those clients who want to study a master's program, their partners will get be eligible to apply for a partnership based work visa, and I'm talking about the current settings as of now.
Okay. Thank you, Vandana, for answering that question. So I'll proceed to the next question. Is academic gap accepted in New Zealand? That's one question from our viewers as well.
So whenever there is an academic gap, um, everybody would like to know the reason. So what was the reason? We would initially ask this question when you approach us. So definitely acceptable, but you should be able to explain what were you doing, just to prove that you are a genuine student. So if you have 2 years, 3 years academic gap, maybe you were working in that time zone, and then in during that time you worked and you realized this is not where I want to be and I need to switch over. Or there were some family commitments that did not allow you to study or did not allow you to work. So, whatever it is, this has to be explained. Why? Because you need to prove your genuine intent to study. You need to prove that you are a genuine student. So, if there is a gap, there has to be an explanation on why am I planning to study after these many years. So, it's everything is acceptable. You should be able to prove your genuine intent to study.
Okay. Thank you, Vandana. I'll proceed to the next one. So our viewers are asking, will a non-background student be allowed to study healthcare courses in New Zealand?
Yes, there are programs which do not require any prerequisite academically. So if somebody has a year 12 in sciences, that is good enough. If somebody has got some work experience, that's good enough. If somebody doesn't have, but then you should have your reasons to enroll for a program. And in that case, we will suggest options which do not require a relevant academic qualification as well. So if you say, can I enroll for a master's in nursing without any nursing qualification? I would say no. That is a program which will require a relevant bachelor's or bachelor's nursing. But yes, there are level 4 qualifications, 5, 6, 7 qualifications in healthcare, which do not require a relevant academics for you to be able to enroll. So if you don't have that, but you really have an interest in the line, we will suggest you options accordingly.
Okay, thank you, Vandana. I'll proceed again to another question. So, what is the best option for those who have PCL qualification or 3 years diploma qualification in the healthcare courses um, here in New Zealand? Like, what's the best option?
So
Yeah, that's a question.
definitely PCL with PCL qualifications again depends on what is the specialization for that PCL and what is the area that they really want to work in. So if that was a nursing specialization and they want to become or work in the nursing line, enroll nursing is something that we can suggest them. Or if they have a healthcare specialization and they want to work in the healthcare line, diploma level at various healthcare programs at level 7 or even lower, we can suggest. So a lot depends on their specialization, their interest areas, but I've just named two: community support or nursing. Whatever is their interest, the options could be given accordingly.
All right. Thank you so much, Vandana. And I have another question here. So the viewers are asking, what is the residency pathway for students who work as an aged care worker, disability care worker here in New Zealand? Like if they get the chance to work in that field, what is the residency pathway for them?
See, anybody who's working in this line, like as an aged care worker, or in a similar work, really depends on what stage did they come to New Zealand on. So a lot of you would have heard about the resident visa 2021, which was given in response to COVID-19, which required a person to have entered New Zealand and lived in New Zealand for 3 years. That means they were settled here in New Zealand, or it was considered they should have been able to prove they are highly skilled. That means they are earning more than $27. But at the same time, there was a third cohort of people who were considered in that and given residence, which was considered as working in a scarce list. And all these jobs which you have named have all come under the skills list. So anybody who was working as an aged care worker, whether earning 22, 23, had a pathway to residence if they were here on the 29th September 2021. So I'm just giving you that background to let you know that this is one of the areas which is in extreme demand, shortage, considered as scarce. That was one option for those who were working in that line on 29th of September when the RV21 was announced. Now there is a second cohort of people who are getting a similar job, coming from overseas, entering New Zealand on a critical purpose visa. Again, these people are being granted a critical purpose visa and have an option for resident visa 2021 if they enter. Again, I'm kind of conveying the relevance or the shortage or the need New Zealand has for these occupations. Now, going forward, if you are planning to come here on a student visa, what will be the pathway? I cannot confirm it yet because that pathway has to be a skilled migrant category residence visa or any other pathway which immigration reopens, because SMC is currently on hold. But I'm kind of giving you that background information to let you know that whatever option they open or whatever point threshold they have, they cannot ignore this important sector of healthcare, because healthcare professionals are in extreme need here in New Zealand. So we are expecting the skilled migrant category to be reopened later this year. So when that is announced, I can then calculate the points and tell you, hey, if you do this qualification, you get these many points. And if you work at this level, you get these many points. And this is the pathway which kind of leads to residence. But I cannot convey that yet because this residence pathway is going to be revised and we do not know what points calculation would be like. But I'm just giving you this brief to stress upon the fact that whatever it would be, healthcare professionals and the healthcare workers is one stream, one group which is not likely to be ignored. It's something which would always have a pathway to residence because New Zealand requires you.
All right. Thank you so much, Vandana. I just wanted to ask Kesang, if you would like to add, or are there any more questions that we should answer? Any questions that we have missed?
I think one questions regarding CAP requirements, like for NEPLUS students to get 7 individual in its band is not possible in a single attempt. So is there any possibility that multiple attempts can be done or something like that?
Thank you so much, Kesang. You've really covered a good question. We do get this query a lot of times, and I kind of missed tackling it in my answers. So yes, there are providers who want the CAP applicants to have 7 equivalent or the same score in one setting. But there are other providers wherein clubbing score is acceptable. So we have managed to get admission for our clients even with 4 scores club. So somebody attempted once, got 7 in or equivalent in reading, and in the next time probably in writing, and they had 7 or equivalent in one area every time. We have even managed to club 4 scores together, provided all 4 scores are valid. That means the validity is for 2 years. So if you get multiple scores, yes, we would be able to secure a seat for you somewhere if you have 7 in each of your tests, which are all valid. Thank you. Over to you, Kesang and
Thank
Leah.
you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Vandana, for answering the questions. I would just like to give the floor to Kisang just to say a few message to our Nepalese viewers. And thank you on behalf of Immigration New Zealand for staying up to this Q&A stage. Kesang, over to you.
Thank you, Leah. फर्स्ट अफ अल नमस्ते सबैजनालाई टाइम निकालेर आइदिनु भएकोमा धेरै धेरै धन्यवाद यो सर्ट पिरियडमा अब हामीले सबै क्वेसन्सको एन्सर्सहरू त दिन पोसिबल छैन पनि र तपाईँहरूको धेरै क्वेसन्सहरूको एन्सर्स अझै अनएन्सर्ड नै भएको भएर चाहिँ तपाईँहरूले फ्युचरमा कन्ट्याक्ट गर्न सक्नुहुन्छ हामीलाई हाम्रो नेपालको कन्ट्याक्ट अफिसमा दीपिका म्याम हुनुहुन्छ ज्ञानेन्द्र सर हुनुहुन्छ तपाईँले एनी टाइम उहाँलाई कन्ट्याक्ट गर्न सक्नुहुन्छ फर बेसिक जेनरल इन्फर्मेसन अनि डिटेल इन्फर्मेसनहरूको लागि चाहिँ र इमिग्रेसन रिलेटेड क्वेसन्सहरू छ भने चाहिँ तपाईँहरूले डाइरेक्ट हामीलाई यता न्युजिल्यान्ड अफिसमा वाट्सएप र भाइबरमा एनी टाइम कन्ट्याक्ट गर्न सक्नुहुन्छ त्यति भन्दै अब फ्युचरमा जस तपाईँहरूकोबाट छिटै नै सुन्न पाऊँ तपाईँहरूको एकाडेमिक डकुमेन्ट्सहरू यताउति सबै रिसिभ छिटै गर्न पाऊँ तपाईँहरूलाई स्टुडेन्ट भिसादेखि हामीले पछिसम्म रेसिडेन्टसम्मको लागि हामी हेल्प गर्नेछौँ तपाईँहरूलाई सो यति भन्दै म बिदा माग्छु नमस्ते थ्याङ्क यू लिया द्याट्स अल फ्रम
Thank you, Kisang. And I just want to thank Vandana for joining us today, for being the speaker in today's webinar. Thank you so much. And once again, thank you so much to all our Nepalese viewers. Thank you for giving us your time. And thank you for attending Immigration Advisors New Zealand webinar. So I just want to repeat that if you have questions and you want to contact us, just feel free to email us at contact@nzimmigration.info. Again, that is contact@nzimmigration.info, and we will be happy to help. Kesang will be happy to help answer the queries that you have. So feel free to get in touch with us anytime. So thank you so much, Vandana. Thank you, Kesang,
Thank
for
you.
joining us today. Thank you so much. And to all our Nepalese viewers, thank you so much once